is the Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, despite the country's steady exchange rate, President Andhra Kumar Dissanayake disclosed that car importers have opened letters of credit worth $350 million. A feasibility study to investigate a national water-based transportation and tourist program that makes use of the nation's vast inland rivers and coastal routes has been approved by the Sri Lankan government. Today, the Colombo stock market recovered, increasing 0.46% as progress was made in trade talks with the United States. Brokers observed that when the talks started, the market started to move positively. And Wall Street equities rose as President Donald Trump allayed concerns that the Federal Reserve would lose its independence, and as optimism for a resolution to the US-China trade dispute was rekindled.
From Studio 24, here's Anuradhi Vikramasinghe.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. President Andhra Kumar Dissanayake revealed that vehicle importers have opened letters of credit totaling $350 million despite the country's stable exchange rate. This move highlights ongoing confidence in the market amidst economic challenges.
Sri Lanka's President Andhra Kumar Dissanayake announced that vehicle importers have opened letters of credit totaling $350 million despite the country's stable exchange rate. He emphasized that even the increased vehicle imports of the US dollar remain stable at 300 rupees, attributing this to the country's maintained economic stability. Since September 2022, Sri Lanka's central bank has adhered to a largely deflationary policy, though a large volume of money was printed in late 2024 to support an abundant reserve regime. Analysts have raised concerns warning that the central bank's open market operations to suppress interest rates are increasing liquidity, which fuels credit and imports, including vehicles. Under its flexible inflation targeting framework, Sri Lanka has faced multiple currency crises, including 2011-12, 2015-16, 2018, and 2020-2022. Despite a high inflation target that has not been met, the central bank continues to aim for monetary stability.
Sri Lanka is reportedly close to finalizing a staff-level agreement with the International Monetary Fund, moving forward with its economic program. A negotiation team is currently in Washington, attending the IMF and World Bank spring meetings, where progress on the agreement is being discussed. Sri Lanka and the IMF could reach this deal as soon as this week. Following the agreement, the IMF board will review and approve the targets for the next phase, which include revised goals for the upcoming months. Sri Lanka has already met some performance criteria for December 2024 and is progressing with necessary structural reforms. However, the IMF has raised concerns about the Ceylon Electricity Board's financial situation, particularly after recent tariff cuts. The Sri Lankan government has approved a feasibility study to explore a national water-based transport and tourism initiative, leveraging the country's extensive inland waterways and coastal routes.
The Sri Lankan government has approved a feasibility study to explore the development of a national water-based transport and tourism initiative. The plan aims to utilize the country's underutilized rivers, canals and coastlines for passenger travel and tourism. Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa highlighted that the study will assess the economy, environmental and logistical aspects of the project. The initiative could involve coastal boat services connecting major cities like Puttalam to Fort, Fort to Galle and Galle to Matara, providing a scenic alternative to the road travel. The government also plans to use inland water resources like Hamilton Alla, Berewewa and Maduganga for tourism development. The project is expected to be launched as a public-private partnership, attracting both local and international investment. The proposal was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers following a presentation by Foreign Affairs Minister Vijitha Herath.
Sri Lanka's poverty rate is expected to decline to 22.7% by this year, according to the World Bank's latest Sri Lanka Development Update. The report highlights that with continued macroeconomic stabilization, the poverty rate could stabilize around 20% in the medium term. However, the World Bank noted that the economic crisis had reversed a decade of poverty reduction, with the poverty rate rising to 27.1% at the height of the crisis in 2023. Household incomes remain below pre-crisis levels, contributing to heightened poverty and food insecurity. Despite this, the World Bank pointed out that increases in the public sector wages could help support households and revive consumption. A more inclusive economic recovery, with a focus on increasing household incomes among vulnerable groups, could help bring poverty rates back to pre-crisis levels by 2030. Let's take a short commercial break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the nightly business report. Sri Lanka's stock market bounced back today, rising 0.46% after tariff negotiations with the US showed progress. Brokers noted that the market's positive movement followed the commencement of discussion. The Colombo Stock Exchange ASPI ended 71.64 points higher, while the S&P SL20 also gained 0.36%. Investors remain uncertain about the sustainability of this rally. For further insight on this, we speak with Manusha Kandanarachi from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. The Colombo Stock Exchange saw a resurgence in investor confidence, signaling a positive turnaround from the previous trading session. The all-share price index opened strong and sustained its upward momentum throughout the day, despite experiencing some intraday fluctuations as well. By market close, the index had advanced by 72 points or 0.5% to finish at 15,616. Key gainers that contributed positively to the index included Brown's Investments, Selinco Holdings, Haley's, Melstar Corporation and PGP Glass. Market activity showed improvement compared to the previous session as well, with increased participation noted across both retail and high net worth investor segments. The diversified financial sector continued to benefit from sustained positive sentiment, maintaining its growth momentum, while banking sector stocks remained relatively muted as well. Notably, selected counters in the construction sector such as Alumex attracted significant investor attention, reflecting targeted optimism in that space. The total market turnover reached 1.5 billion rupees, which represents a 41% decline from the monthly average of 2.5 billion rupees as well. The capital goods sector led in turnover contribution with a 21% share, followed by the combined contribution of the materials and diversified financial sectors, which accounted for 32%. Thank you.
Sri Lanka's export sector showed strong growth in the first quarter of this year, with total exports reaching $4.21 billion, a 5.87% increase from the previous year, driven by robust performances in both merchandise and services, highlighting the country's rising global trade competitiveness. For further insights on this, we speak with Ranjan Ranatunga from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. Sri Lanka's exports reached $4.21 billion in the first quarter of 2025, marking a 5.87% year-over-year increase. For March 2025 alone, total exports totaled 1.5 billion and growth of 6.24% year-over-year, as well as 11% growth on a month-over-month basis. This growth reflects a strong performance in both merchandise and service exports, supported by strategic efforts to boost global competitiveness. Key merchandise exports drivers in March included apparel and textiles, which grew by 11.7% year-over-year to $495 million, while tea, which also grew by 11%, totaled to $138 million during the period. Also, coconut-based products, spices and essential oils, and cinnamon and pepper were among the notable growth sectors for the month of March. Meanwhile, service exports rose by 7.8% year-over-year in the month of March, driven by ICT, logistics, transportation, as well as tourism revenues. Major export market showed promising growth, with exports to US, which is the largest export destination for Sri Lanka, totaling to 23%, grew by 13.8% in the month of March and 9% in Q1, while UK also recorded a recovery with a 10% growth in March and a 4.7% growth in Q1. Meanwhile, on other markets, India, Germany, Netherlands, France and China were also among the positive trends for the month of March. Thank you.
Gold prices surged in Asian trade today, recovering from recent losses as uncertainty surrounding the US-China trade conflict and new Russia-Ukraine tensions fueled demand for safe haven assets. Spot gold rose 1.3% to $3,331.34 per ounce, while gold futures for June delivery gained 1.4% to $3,341.25 per ounce. The rebound came after gold had fallen from record highs earlier this week, following US President Trump's comments suggesting a potential reduction in trade duties on China. However, the decline was short-lived as lack of clarity on Trump's remarks, coupled with more cautious statements from other officials, led to renewed interest in gold. Traders remain wary of the dollar and treasuries turning to gold and the Japanese yen as key safe haven assets. Oil prices inched higher in Asian trade today following steep losses in the prior session, as investors digested reports that OPEC Plus plans to further ramp up production in June. Brent oil futures expiring in June edged 0.3% higher to $66.33 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 0.2% to $61.78 per barrel. The commodity was supported by signals of potential tariff negotiations between the US and China. Both contracts settled nearly 2% lower yesterday in anticipation of increased supply from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Several OPEC Plus nations are pushing to accelerate oil output hikes in June, extending May's surprise boost as internal disputes over quota compliance deepen. The Sri Lankan rupee continued its slide against the US dollar today, showing further depreciation compared to yesterday. According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, both the buying and selling rates of the dollar have increased. Interestingly, while the rupee has weakened against Gulf currencies, it has shown appreciation against a broader basket of other foreign currencies. Let's take a closer look at how the rupee is faring against major global currencies in the current trading environment. A short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back. In a game-changing move for Sri Lanka's coffee scene, Fitz Retail has partnered with Abans PLC to debut DeLonghi's premium coffee machines at Abans Elite Colombo 3 and Abans Havelock City Mall showrooms, bringing an elevated coffee experience to the island's top locations.
Fitz Retail has partnered with Abans PLC to bring DeLonghi's iconic coffee machines to Sri Lanka, offering unique opportunity for local coffee lovers. With a century-long heritage, DeLonghi is the #1 coffee machine brand in over 46 countries, known for its quality, innovation and Italian craftsmanship. This collaboration introduces Sri Lankans to DeLonghi's legendary machines at 2 key locations in Colombo, which is the Abans Elite Colombo 3 and Abans Havelock City Mall. The partnership features dedicated demonstration zones where visitors can explore the precision engineering and user-friendly technology that define DeLonghi's machines. These machines are renowned for delivering cafe-quality espresso, cappuccinos and cold brews, making them a favorite among coffee enthusiasts worldwide. The immersive experience zones aim to transfer daily coffee routines into extraordinary rituals. DeLonghi's commitment to quality and innovation is now directly accessible to Sri Lankan coffee lovers.
Toyota Lanka recently hosted a high-profile delegation from Toyota Tsusho Corporation, including Chairman Nobuhiko Murakami, as well as senior executives Atsuhiro Okamoto and Wakana Tagagishi. The visit included comprehensive tours of Tokyo Lanka's headquarters, service facilities and fulfillment center, highlighting the company's operational excellence and customer-centric approach. Murakami praised Toyota Lanka's commitment to maintaining Toyota's global standards and its role in enhancing customer satisfaction across Sri Lanka. He expressed confidence in Toyota Lanka's continued leadership in the industry and its potential for future growth. Chairman Sachiko Yotsukura proudly noted that Toyota Lanka was recently honored with the Customer Delight Excellence Award 2024 by Toyota Motor Corporation. Managing Director and CEO Manohara Atukorala emphasized that the delegation's visit reinforced TTC's confidence in Toyota Lanka's service quality and strategic direction. Dhammika Pereira has acquired a 51% stake in DHT Cement Limited, a joint venture between Indian and Sri Lankan investors, and will manufacture the PowerTech premium cement brand. Business leader Dhammika Pereira has acquired a 51% controlling stake in DHT Cement Limited, a joint venture between Indian and Sri Lankan investors, marking his entry into the cement industry. To secure this stake, Pereira purchased equal shares from 4 original shareholders for $8 million and invested an additional $12 million in new shares, bringing his total investment to $20 million. The DHT plant in Ekala, equipped with advanced German engineering, manufactures the flagship PowerTech premium cement and is set to increase its market share, currently at 10%. Sri Lanka's cement market, estimated at 4.45 million tonnes in 2024, faces competition from local producers like Tokyo Cement and INSEE Sansa. Sri Lanka's cement market, estimated at 4.45 million tonnes in 2024, faces competition from local producers like Tokyo Cement and INSEE Sansta. Despite challenges, the construction sector is expected to rebound in 2025 with a recovery in government projects and a lower interest rate environment. Tokyo Cement has increased its production capacity, but local manufacturers face higher taxes and levies, making the industry highly competitive. The sector is seeing fierce competition, with some companies adopting unsustainable practices to expand market share. The Colombo Stock Exchange, in collaboration with the SEC and CA Sri Lanka, has launched a major initiative to introduce XBRL-based financial reporting for listed companies. XBRL, a global digital reporting standard, aims to enhance data accuracy, simplify reporting and improve analysis across the capital market. The CSE signed an agreement with Microvista Technologies of India to develop the system, with a demonstration already held for 30 selected companies. Implementation will be phased, starting with interim financial statements in 2026, expanding to annual reports in 2027 and sustainability reports by 2028. The system is expected to reduce compliance costs, increase transparency and support more efficient decision-making for investors and regulators. This move aligns Sri Lanka's capital market with international best practices in financial reporting and digital transformation. Lanka Special Steels Limited has launched Lanka SSL Agri Gold, a new range of GI and barbed wire tailored for Sri Lanka's farming community, offering enhanced durability and strength. Lanka Special Steels Limited has launched its new product line, Lanka SSL Agri Gold, aimed at supporting Sri Lanka's farming community with high-quality GI and barbed wire solutions. The initiative is designed to enhance farm security, fencing and crop protection, while educating farmers on the benefits of durable steel wire applications in agriculture. A special event in Ambalipitia brought together 60 prominent dealers for a hands-on introduction to the product's features and market potential. Director and CEO Pravin De Silva emphasized the company's dedication to empowering agriculture with superior steel wire solutions and building strong dealer relationships. Lanka SSL operates a modern manufacturing facility launched in 2023, equipped with advanced technology and high-quality standards for both local and export markets. The company holds ISO certifications and has held the galvanized wire segment in Sri Lanka for nearly 30 years. Its hot-dip GI wire and barbed wire are the only SLS-certified products in their respective categories, further cementing Lanka SSL's industry leadership. People's Bank reaffirmed its leadership in organizational excellence by winning multiple awards at the Best Management Practices Company Awards 2025, hosted by the Institute of Chartered Professional Managers of Sri Lanka. The ceremony, held at Monarch Imperial Sri Jayawardhanapura Kotte, recognized top organizations for their outstanding management strategies. People's Bank was awarded the Gold Award in the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion cluster, highlighting its commitment to inclusivity and respect in the workplace. Additionally, the bank was named among the top 20 outstanding companies and was recognized as a category winner in banking. The bank also won a Bronze Award in Corporate Social Responsibility cluster and received merit awards in both the Environmental, Social and Governance and Digital Literacy clusters. Manjula Disanaika, the Deputy General Manager for Human Resources, represented the bank at the event, accepting the accolades alongside senior officers. Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stocks saw modest gains today as investors reassessed optimism surrounding US-China trade tensions, with Japan leading the region's markets. The Nikkei 225 climbed nearly 1% and the Topix rose 0.8% on positive signals of continued trade dialogue with the US. South Korea's Kospi, however, fell 0.6%, following weaker than expected GDP data showing a first quarter contraction. Australia's ASX 200 gained 0.6%, while Singapore's Straits Times Index added 0.3%. Reflecting broader regional positivity. China's CSI 300 and Shanghai Composite each rose above 0.5%, though Hong Kong's Hang Seng slipped 0.4% due to profit-taking in major tech stocks. Indian markets were set for a cautious start as Nifty 50 futures indicated a negative open amid geopolitical concerns following a terrorist attack in Kashmir. Wall Street stocks advanced on revived hopes for progress in the US-China trade dispute and as President Donald Trump soothed fears the Federal Reserve could lose its autonomy.
Wall Street's main indexes closed higher for a second straight day on Wednesday, with the Dow gaining 1%, the S&P 500 adding nearly 1.7%, and the Nasdaq climbing 2.5%. Stocks gathered momentum after Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said high tariffs between the U.S. and China were unsustainable, and President Donald Trump signaled he was open to easing trade tensions between the world's two largest economies. Trump also dialed back his attacks on the Federal Reserve, which included threats to fire Chair Jerome Powell. Most investors view the central bank chief as a stabilizing force in the market, which has been rattled by Trump's chaotic trade policy. Meanwhile, first quarter earnings season has hit full stride, with 110 of the companies in the S&P 500 having reported. Of those, 75% have beaten Wall Street estimates, according to LSEG. Tesla shares rose more than 5% after CEO Elon Musk said he would significantly scale back his work with the Trump administration to devote more time to running his companies. The stock gain came despite the EV maker posting a 71% plunge in quarterly net profit. Shares of Boeing surged 6% after the plane maker reported a smaller than expected quarterly loss and said it produced and delivered more aircraft. On the flip side, shares of General Dynamics dropped more than 3% after the aerospace and defense company said its business jet orders fell from the previous quarter, and despite posting a 27% increase in first quarter profit.
Apple was fined $570 million and Meta $228 million as European Union antitrust regulators handed out the first sanctions under the landmark Digital Markets Act, aimed at curbing the power of big tech.
Apple has been fined $570 million and Meta $228 million. European Union antitrust regulators handed out the first sanctions on Wednesday, under landmark legislation aimed at curbing the power of big tech. The EU fines could stoke tensions with Donald Trump. He's threatened to levy tariffs against countries that penalise US companies. The sanctions follow a year-long investigation by the European Commission, the EU executive. It was into whether the companies comply with the Digital Markets Act, or DMA, that seeks to allow smaller rivals into markets dominated by the biggest companies. Apple said it would challenge the EU fine. Meta criticised the EU decision. The EU competition watchdog said Apple must remove technical and commercial restrictions that prevent app developers from steering users to cheaper deals outside the App Store. It said Meta's binary pay or consent model, introduced in November 2023, breached the DMA. The model gives Facebook and Instagram users who consent to be tracked a free service that is funded by advertising revenues. Alternatively, they can pay for an ad-free service. Meta is discussing with the EU a new version introduced late last year. The companies have 2 months to comply with the orders or risk fines.
That's all from us on the Nightly Business Report for today. We'll see you again tomorrow with the latest updates across the business globe. Till then, I'm Anuradhi Vikramasinghe. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.